Hello, Ambassador. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much.
I was just. Thank you. That's my law office.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, first of all, for taking out time for this interview today. I've been longing, in fact, to have an interview with you, and I was just thinking, when will I get a yes? So thanks a ton for that.
Thank you.
Welcome to my podcast, Bharat Charcha. Today, I warmly welcome Ambassador Mariano. So let's begin asking about his journey, how it has been. What was your first impression when you landed in India? What was your first impression about India when you were here?
Well, I came to India before being an ambassador. So I came for tourist reasons, let's say, with my wife 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago. And we came for around 2 weeks. We visited Delhi, Agra, Jaipur, Rajasthan, or Udaipur. And we loved the country. It was beautiful, very nice experience. And then, let's say 1 year after, more or less, the government changed, and I was offered an embassy. People in the government asked where I think I was going to be able to serve as an ambassador. I served before in Costa Rica and Israel, and I said this time I would like to go if I have the opportunity to go to India.
Oh, lovely.
So we like it very much,
Great.
and that was my first impression here. This was, I would tell you, it was March or April 2023.
Okay, great.
2 years and a half back.
Right. So you
That first trip.
right.
Then I arrived here. We arrived here June 24, June 2024.
Okay.
So 13 months ago.
Right. So you like India now, basically, now that you've lived here.
Yes, I love it. And yes, you know, when you go to one country as a tourist, you have one idea.
Right.
Then when you live in that country, it might be a different experience. But in this case, it was the experience is confirming my idea that I had. So
How
it's
wonderfully put.
it's a country that is growing so much. It is the largest country in the world in terms of population.
Right.
It is a country of the world that is growing so much.
Sure.
I think it's among the major powers is the one that grows more, because you are growing now even more than the People's Republic of China. So I think it's a wonderful experience.
I love how candidly you've spoken about India and how you like being here. In fact, now the relationship has a multifaceted relationship, which is growing every day between Argentina and India. It's just so interesting and fascinating to watch and hear in the news every day. So, quickly, we would want to know about a little bit about your journey in diplomacy. How would you state that?
Well, I'm not a career diplomat. Although I have been in these issues for many years, but I'm not a career diplomat. In fact, I'm a lawyer, but
nice.
I am a specialist. I specialized myself in foreign policy. I founded a school of government and foreign policy in Argentina. Then I was a professor on that issues. I wrote a number of books on international affairs and contemporary history.
Right.
And also I became a member of the Council of Foreign Relations in Argentina, a very well-known institution. It's a think tank in Buenos Aires. And then when the President Macri came to power in 2015,
Right.
I was offered the embassy in Costa Rica. I stayed there almost 2 years. And then I was promoted to become ambassador to Israel under that same government. Then we lost, that government lost the possibility of re-election, and so I went back to Argentina.
Right.
I stayed there. It was the COVID times. I wrote 2 books about more, and then we came back to power with a sort of coalition government, and I was offered to be an ambassador again, and that's why
That's why you're here.
So that's my experience. Although I'm not a career diplomat, I have been ambassador 3 times. So I'm in this world of diplomacy for many years, and I really enjoy it. And I think you can do many things for your country,
Right.
and especially when you are serving in places in which the relationship between your country and the country you are appointed to is growing. It's increasingly interesting.
Correct.
And when there are situations in which you find complementarities between the two countries, in that case, you can work for your.
That's true. And
For
I
that.
think going to different countries, understanding their cultural, economical, social, and political structures is also very interesting while you live there.
Ah, yes, of course. That's
You
always.
adapt certain things
Yes.
from them.
Yes, but it is absolutely interesting. It's interesting to live in any country in the world because
Right.
you always learn. Even if you go to a different city, for example, in a country as India, so big as India.
Very
If you live
diverse.
here in Delhi, you go to live in Mumbai for 1 year, you have a different
Yes.
experience. Or in Kolkata or whatever, in Chennai, Bangalore, so many. Or if you are living in the US, if you live in New York, it's not the same as in LA or in Chicago or in Florida. But what I mean, or in my country, there are so variety of regions. But what I think is that when specifically when the relationship between two countries has complementarities, in that case you can work a lot for, and that's what we are trying to do here in the last 1 year and a half, more or
I
less,
agree with you.
working in that sense.
That's true. So for India, we love our chai. For you, it is made. So how do you see that India and Argentina bridging over food and culture, and how
Well, we,
interesting it
we
is?
belong to different cultures, no?
Right.
Because India is a sort of civilization, very old, among the oldest in the world. Um, at the same time, Argentina is a country that is a mix of cultures. Latin American countries normally are a sort of mix of cultures between the original culture of the people who live there and people coming from Europe. In the
Correct.
case of Argentina, a large part of the population of the country is descendant from mainly Spanish people and Italian people. For example, my own family is mainly from Italy and some parts from Spain. So it is different cultures because one thing is India, one thing is the Indo-American culture and the Latin American culture, which is people coming from, especially from the countries in the south of Europe, or in the case of Brazil, for example, also Portugal. No? So different cultures, but at the same time, um, cultures that can live together. Cultures are all respectable. There's no one better than the other. And in terms of food, well, we eat a lot of meat, and here meat is not the not red meat at least. You eat other types of meat.
No, there is a section of society that prefers.
Well, you have here some people eat, of course, lamb or buffalo.
Yes.
We don't eat so much of that. We eat more other type of red meat. But in any case, sometimes, of course, as you know, Indian food is a little spicy for the Westerners.
Yes.
But you get accustomed to it.
That is true. I
Yeah,
agree with
yeah.
you. So I'm sure that you find Indian food interesting too.
Yes,
and it's
I think
non-spicy maybe.
Well, spicy is a problem. At the same time, when Indians go to the West, they find that the Western food has no taste, no,
Right.
because it has very little.
Yeah, but I think again, it depends on who is having it. For a person like me, I like moderate spicy. I can't have very spicy food.
Ah, okay, so you're okay.
Yeah, when I'm traveling
Yeah.
outside, I find it equally interesting to try something new, which is not made in India,
Yeah.
because we would love to try different flavors too of the
Yes.
country where we go.
Yes, I
So
know.
yeah. And now, if we talk about promoting Indian tourism in Argentina, so how do you look at both the countries encouraging tourism?
Well, I have a good news to announce. Very recently, Argentina has changed the immigration process to India, giving the opportunity to Indian citizens holding a U.S. visa, an American visa, a valid American visa, to be able to go to Argentina without a visa. So that facilitates the entry of Indian citizens.
Wonderful.
That's very good. That simplifies the situation. I hope something similar might be acquired here for Argentines coming here, although it's not exactly the same law, of course, but something similar. And at the same time, Argentina is a country that is, in terms of population, Argentina is almost, in terms of territory, it's almost as large as India.
Right.
India is the seventh largest country in the world. Argentina is the eighth. But the difference is that when you have 1.45, almost 1.5 billion people, we are only 50 million people, which is a relatively small population for
Yes.
a country of that. But it is a country that it is placed in a region in which you can find a variety of climates, a variety of geographies. You even can fly from the north to the south 5 hours and you will still be flying in the same country.
Yes.
From the north of Argentina to the south of Argentina.
Yes.
It is like the US, but you fly from New York to San Francisco, 5 hours, east to west. Here it is north to south. So the temperatures are absolutely different. The regions are different.
Yes.
You have the falls in the north, the Iguazu Falls. You have Patagonia. You have the Antarctica. You have the Malbec and the wines route in Mendoza and other provinces. And you have the city of Buenos Aires, which is a European city in South America. So it is the Argentine offer of tourism offer is great. Of course, it is far. It takes 20 hours flying to go from Argentina to India or to India to Argentina. This is
quite a big flight, I would say.
Yeah. That won't be solved at least in the next years because the airplanes are as they are. But you have to fly to Europe, and then from every major European city, you have a non-stop flight to Argentina. You have flights from Madrid, from Paris, from London, from Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Zurich, Istanbul, all of them.
Yes.
Almost all of them. And also from the Gulf, also from Dubai, Qatar, Doha. So, and even Africa, Ethiopia. So you have many ways to reach Argentina.
You're very well versed with the geopolitical scenario and how geographically they are apart from each other in terms of distance also.
No. What I mean is that, of course, we belong to different regions. We belong to different cultures. We belong to different situations. But at the same time, the complementarity between the countries is important. And I would say that the complementarity between India and Latin America is important. So that's why it is increasing so much. That's why we feel that it's very positive that the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, was visiting Argentina in early July. It was the first time in 57 years that an acting Prime Minister of India having a bilateral visit to my country.
Correct.
And it is that happened among other visits to the region. So we are very happy to that happening. We feel that in the case of Argentina and India, we have been having 75 years of bilateral relations. But in the last 6 years, we elevated that relationship to the rank of strategic partnership.
Yes, true.
Which, as you know, sometimes is something that the government signed, the two presidents or the two prime ministers sign a paper, and that remains in an envelope. But in this case, we are very proud to say, Argentinians and Indians, that we really developed the relationship to the standard to the level of strategic relationship, because the economic link between the two countries reached $5 billion, which for India is not so much, but for Argentina is an important number. Today, India is the sixth largest partner of Argentina. So we are working good. We can even work more.
Wonderful. I mean, this would have been my third question to you, that, how is the sentiment and how it feels that we are boosting the relationship between India and Argentina, wherein in 57 years, we see our Prime Minister Narendra Modi visiting Argentina and the sentiment between the countries, but you very well put that.
Yes.
So we'll move to another question. So Tango and Bollywood, right? So both come hand in hand. So both are passionate and expressive forms of art. So would you like to tell me that only that is the means, or you feel that politically we are connected well, or this could also, art forms could also act a role in bringing two countries together in future?
Well, culture, art, sports, maybe food are, let's say, expressions that can unite people even when they are different people.
Yes.
And I think there is some of these areas in which there is a connection. For example, in polo, we have great polo players. We have great horses. You like polo here also. Tango, it is developing. There are tango clubs, let's say, here that they dance tango, not a lot, but they are, and other things. And maybe some parts of India, they like football very much. They love Maradona and Messi.
Yes.
But in the case of politics, going to politics, to the political link between the two countries, I have to say that we are extremely thankful and grateful to India, because India has always supported us in the issue of Malvinas, the two islands that are occupied by the United Kingdom for almost 200 years. And you were always supportive to that, so we are always thankful. At the same time, two countries are two democracies, two countries that have common grounds relating to democracy, to freedom, to the respect of human dignity. Although, once again, we belong to different cultures and we have different political systems.
Of course.
Two democracies, but at the same time, for example, we have a typical presidential system, very similar to the North American, to the U.S. Constitution. Almost all the Latin American countries develop constitutional systems similar to the American one, while you have a system that is assimilated or came from the British system, no, which is parliamentary
Yes,
system.
yes.
So in that sense, it's different.
Right.
But
I feel that politics definitely plays a very stronger diplomatic tool when it comes to talking about two countries.
Argentina and India. Argentina recognized the new India, independent India, immediately after independence.
Yes.
In the late 40s, in 47, and we established an embassy here in 1950. I think Argentina was among the first Latin American countries to establish an embassy here in Delhi. If it was not the first, it was the second, but among the first. Then we enjoyed very good relations for many years. When India at that time, in the mid 50s and early 60s, India was one of the founders of the non-aligned movement. Yes. Argentina joined that movement later in the 70s. Then we withdraw from there. But in the UN, for example, we cooperate in many fields. And then we are members of the G20. That's very important.
That's true.
The G20 is the most representative platform in the world today. It unites the G7, the developed countries,
absolutely,
and the growing countries, so it is very well, very important, I would say, to take advantage of that membership for the two countries.
That's true. No, that's true. In fact, Argentina relationship dates back from 1920, as much I remember, and
yes.
read about it. Yeah, because it has grown into a very multifaceted, strategic countries together, and that's
yes.
how we go date back.
Yes. Even before the independence of
India. Yes, that's true.
Yes, there was a consulate here, if I'm not wrong, in Calcutta at that time, and the cultural links between the two countries predate the independence.
Has been there. Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
So Argentina lives and breathes football. We know that. Legends like Messi and Maradona. And India is definitely very fond of cricket. I'm sure you must have seen one of the matches also here. Yeah. So having experienced both, do you think that there is a similarity of bridging on sports as well in the coming times?
Well, I can't compare one to the other because we know very little about cricket.
So do they shape the global identity?
But what I can say is that sports, it's and especially football or soccer, whatever, it is something that generates passion in many people.
Yes.
And in my country, it's almost all of us. In the case of India, in some southern states of India, they love football, and even in Bengal,
we do love football. Yes.
And what I can say is that each time you go to an airport here in India or in every place of the world, when you say that you're an Argentine, the first thing they say is Maradona and Messi.
Yes,
so that's the first example. And then the Pope, no? Because we had the previous Pope, Francis. But I would say Maradona and Messi are the most well-known Argentines in the world. So
of course they're like the global identity to the nation. That's true. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So Argentina is rich in natural resources.
Yes.
India is rich on technology. In between, there were talks about lithium.
Yes.
And certain critical minerals. Would you shed some light on that?
Yes, of
how's
course.
the memorandum of understanding?
Argentina is a country, also with Bolivia and the north of Chile, that we have the so-called lithium triangle. It's one of the huge, one of the most important reserves of lithium in the world. So, in that sense, Indian companies are working there in the north of Argentina, for example, in one state, well, we call provinces, the states is the same here, called Catamarca in the north of the country.
Yeah.
And they are working very good. There are some investments there, some companies, and working with Argentine companies. The governor of Catamarca, which is equivalent here to a chief minister, he was here in February this year, and they signed other agreements with companies. And recently, last week, if I'm not wrong, last on September 4, the Secretary of Steel of the Ministry of Steel was there in Buenos Aires and in Catamarca, looking after possibilities of increasing that cooperation. Right. But that's one field in which the two countries are working very good. Because of this, what I was saying you before, there is an objective economic complementarity between Argentina and India. And so, although we are very, very far, no, but this world is big and small at the same time.
Yes.
It depends how you see.
It brings you closer also due to certain diplomatic.
In fact, the world is becoming smaller every day because technology make it.
It's bridging. It's bringing people together.
In one sense, the world is very small because you can click your WhatsApp number and one person in Argentina will answer you immediately at the same time as if you are next door.
That's true.
So in that sense, the world has converged into itself. But still, distance is a thing, but it's something that can be managed.
Right. And let's talk about energy as well.
Yes.
So in the month of January 2025, there were certain companies that had signed the MOU. That would be such as three major Indian firms, Oil, GAIL, and ONGC Videsh. How would you like to take that, and how significant do you think the deal for the future of India, Argentina energy together would be like?
As I was mentioning, Argentina is a country with a huge territory, with a few people in relative terms, and we are a country that can produce food, for example, for millions and millions of people. We can provide food security to major countries, including India, for example. Today we are number one provider in soybean oil, number three in sunflower oil. At the same time, Argentina can become a country that can provide energy security to India, not only food security, but also energy security. Because we have in Argentina, in the south of Argentina, there is a huge reserve of gas, of natural gas, which is called Vaca Muerta. That reserve is one of the most important reserves of gas in the world. And the country is developing the exploration and working there. And once you get the gas there, you can transport that to the world. And so that's why these companies signed an agreement with YPF. YPF is the national oil and gas company of Argentina. The chairman was here, Mr. Horacio Marin. He was here in September 2024 and in January 2025, and they signed these agreements. It's a first step of a possible cooperation in terms of energy between the two countries.
I think that's a very significant step, and if we can go ahead with that, I think the countries would benefit.
Yes, of course, because India is growing at 7% a year. I don't know, more or less 6, 7, 8% a year. Right. It's a country that India demands energy. You demand more energy than you have.
Yes.
So you are buying energy from many countries in the world. And the government of India, I think wisely, is trying to diversify its provisions of oil and gas.
Yes.
So Argentina can contribute to that energy security. Of course, we are not going to be able to satisfy all your needs. but you still have traditional suppliers in countries that produce energy
Right.
in the Middle East, for example, another supplier in Russia, whatever. But you, as if the country is diversifying, you can have there a partner. And also one thing that has to be mentioned, which is interesting, is Argentina is a country that is placed in South America. South America and Latin America in general, but South America specifically, it's a region of the world. It's the only region in the world in which there are no major geopolitical conflicts.
Right.
Because in the Western Hemisphere, there is only one power with nuclear weapons, which is the US. Then you don't have nuclear weapons in the region, so it's a peaceful region. It's a region in which countries have problems. We have problems, other countries,
Of
but
course.
there are not geopolitical
Not
problems. So
geopolitical.
what happens is in this world in which we are living in which unfortunately we observe in the last years that geopolitical problems and conflicts have reappeared, or at least they are having more importance in the world. For example, with the problem that happened with COVID, the pandemics, and also geopolitical problems that arise again. For example, the Ukraine conflict. Then you
Yes.
have the Middle East, the so-called Middle East problem, because there is no such thing like one conflict in the Middle East and many conflicts in the Middle East.
Right.
But you have again that. So what I mean is that there are problems in the chain supplies in the world. You have problems in one region, you have problems in that. South America is a region that in which there are no major geopolitical problems, and in that sense, Argentina is placed in a very convenient area of the world.
I get that. So we'll come on a UPI system. As much I'd read that Argentina is planning to understand the UPI system, which is of course facilitated by India. So how do you take a look at this strategic move from India, and how we can channelize this?
Well, there is always some people in the government and in the private sector studying this development that you have been having here, very successful, because having provided this system to 1.4 billion people is a big success. I'm not an expert on this field, so I cannot explain if it's going to be copied, just adopted. I really don't know.
Right.
I'm just a user of these things.
Yes.
With some difficulty, because I still I'm still the kind of person that likes to pay with with cash. But at the same time, I think you have been developing. It is an example of India's great success in developing technologies.
Yes.
So, and I think it's one of the success of this government that has been able to provide almost all citizens in this country to have a bank account, for example. But it's something that is being under study in some parts of the world with India, and including my country. But I don't know more exactly.
What we had read in the news, that Prime Minister is in talks with the President.
Yes. It was talk about this in the bilateral visit, among many other subjects.
Right.
But then the governments talk about that, and then it has to be developed by the technical experts.
I feel that digitizing economy in a manner where you feel free, you do not carry your wallets, and probably just through phones that you can make transactions. That's how we feel now here in India.
And governments tend to do that, because in that way it is not possible to elude, let's say, taxation, for example. So it is good for the health of the economy. No, correct. Some other people say that not complicates, but say that means that the governments can control you more. But it is a discussion, a technical discussion, that I am not able to discuss, because I'm not an expert on that.
I think both the delegations are still studying the format.
Yes.
And maybe in coming times in future, they'll be able to.
But what is true, of course, is that India is seen in the world as a country that has been able to develop this in a relatively short period of time with a great success, because of the expansion of the country. No? It's not the same to apply this type of system in a country of 10 million people than in a country of almost 1.5 billion people.
Yes. Maybe we'll look forward to that infrastructure wherein they can bridge
Yeah.
and build a thing like that where
Yes.
UPI can be used in Argentina as
Yes,
well.
of course.
So just on a personal touch and just to be on the lighter note, since we are towards the end of the podcast, what has been your most memorable experience in India so far?
If I think, maybe I can tell you, but I have been here since June 2024. Now it's September 2025. It has been
Many
for
instances.
14 or 15 months.
Yeah.
But I made 29 trips inside the country. So I have been able to go, and it's a lot, but it's still I don't know the country because
I agree.
the country is so big. That maybe one very, very.
Any one of your favorite moments?
Yes, don't know if it's a favorite, but one of the things that has surprised us more is when the government of India took us to the Kumbh Mela in January, late January this year. They took almost 80 ambassadors in a military plane, and they took us there because it was something that we come from countries in which the population is not so large, no? So to see, to observe so many people
that was a historic moment.
yes, participating in a, I don't know if the word correct is to say in that ceremony or in that event, I would say, but it was still very, very interesting for all of us. And then so many things, the thriving cities that you find here, for example, in Mumbai, and the hectic life that you will live here, and there's so many events that are here even in Delhi, and many things,
That's
things.
true.
It's like I would say that this country is, or it's becoming endless. It's impossible to cover. Sometimes it is difficult for us. This I can share because I talk with my colleagues of other embassies, and we all experience similar feelings, in the sense of that sometimes the country is so big, so amazing, that is sometimes difficult to manage, to be able to be in all the places you have to be in. You receive so many invitations to cover the country, to go to one state, to go to that. Sometimes it's like, for an ambassador to India in the 21st century, you need 48 hours day.
Yes, that's true.
Not a 24-hour day.
I'll take it as a compliment from you for our country.
It is difficult. So it demands a great effort from yourself to be able to travel a lot around the country, to be able to reach a lot of people, to be able to go from one place to the other, and still be able to perform your duties correctly.
Very well, I agree with you. So, since we talked about culture, we talked about sports, we talked about food as well. Any favorite dish that you have from India?
I love the Indian food, all the Indian food. But I always say to the people in the restaurants and my Indian friends, that you have to develop a Indian for non-Indian food, or a sort of mild Indian food,
Right.
Because as you were telling, some of the dishes are so spicy that are difficult, but at the same time it's wonderful, no? We are trying to learn some of the dishes in order that when we go back to be able to do that in more countries.
I think every state and region has its own way of cooking food.
Yes, of course, yes.
Yeah, some really have spicy every day.
Southern food maybe sometimes is not so
Mild spicy.
Yes, so,
I agree with you.
But I like it all.
So, if you had to recommend to our audiences about one of your experiences in Argentina, what would that be like?
No, I think that when people from India or from other countries in the world go to Argentina, they are surprised because they will find a country. First of all, you will be surprised of the city. The city of Buenos Aires it's a wonderful city. It's a sort of European city. Then you will find a country that is so big that you can find different geographies in the territory, and people are lovely, and the food is great, the wine is great.
Yes.
You will enjoy very much.
Yes,
I'm sure about that.
I'm sure. Thank you so much. Last but not the least, So how could I not mention this before? Argentina army climbs Mount Kun,
Yes,
right? And they were here also for some time.
yes.
How would you
Well, we were
like to
very
rate
happy
that?
because of that, because that experience was, I think,
It was successfully scaled, as much we
yes,
know.
this was 1 month ago or something like
Yes,
that.
yes.
It is an example of defense cooperation between the two countries. In January, in fact, January or February, a group of an Indian troop went to Argentina and they climbed the Aconcagua, which is the
Okay.
big mountains in Argentina, in the western part of Argentina that divides Argentina and Chile. And they climbed there, and it was a great experience. And then this group of Argentines, an Argentine troop, came here in July, and they climbed, and they climbed. I think the Mount Kun is,
Yeah, the
if I'm
Mount
not
Kun.
wrong, is 7,700 meters high. If I am not wrong, maybe that's my memory. But
Okay.
in any case, it was a great success. It was. Then I had the opportunity. We had the opportunity to receive them before going up climbing, and then when they came back in Argentina, they were greeted with great proud, even by the president when they came back to Argentina. So it's a congratulations to them, to the Indian troop, to the Indian authorities of the Ministry of Defense and the Indian
Indian
forces
Army strengths, and I'm sure.
and the army, and for the army of Argentina and the Ministry of Defense of Argentina that were able to make this cooperation.
Yes.
And I think it's a great example of what it can be achieved.
I'm sure both the nations must have been proud of the
Yes, and
moment
so
that
many
you
people in
celebrated.
Argentina were happy, were so proud about these troops.
Right.
They were all the time saying, "Did you go with them?" No, but I did not climb.
Right.
All the people were asking me if I climbed,
Of course.
but it is. They told us it was a great effort, a great success, and a great achievement.
We call it as a historic moment, and it's a
Yes,
historic achievement for us.
and it was. I think they reached the top the day of the troop of mountain troops. I think I
Okay.
don't remember the day.
I know that they were meticulously prepared for it,
Yes,
and they were to go on the top. So I'm sure when we talk about historic moments,
yes.
it has to be just
It
as
was
you
a
described in your words.
milestone with the
It was a
symbolic.
milestone. Yes.
Yes, and the other thing was very important. Almost simultaneously, it was the Prime Minister visit to Argentina in July 4 and 5 this year.
Around the same time.
Yes, around the same time.
Right.
A few days before, I think. But it was very important.
Right.
I think it's a great milestone in the bilateral relation.
I agree. Thank you so much,
No,
Ambassador,
thanks to
for your
you.
time. It's a complete pleasure to host you today.
Thank you very much.
And for letting my audience know about this episode. Thank you. I hope they find it very fruitful.
Thank you. Thanks to
so
you.
much.